Watch what you post because Big Brother is apparently watching you.
Axios is reporting that the State Department is looking to revoke visas of certain college students.
Citing a senior State Department official, Axios reports that the department will be using AI tools to look through students' social media accounts. Students who are purportedly, quote, pro-Hamas or have expressed support for the October 7th attacks on Israel could be subject to getting their visas stripped.
Department officials will also see if police arrested any visa holders who were allowed to stay during the Biden administration. The senior department official said that they found 0 visa revocations during the Biden era and that this raises questions about them enforcing the law.
The State Department will also sift through newspapers and lawsuits to find instances of foreign nationals, quote, engaging in anti-Semitic activity without consequence. Axios writes, to launch Catch and Revoke, federal officials examined 100,000 people in the student exchange visitor system since October 2023 to see if any visas had been revoked because the student had been arrested or suspended from school.
Abed Ayoub, head of the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee, told Axios, "This should concern all Americans. This is a First Amendment and freedom of speech issue, and the administration will overplay its hand. Americans won't like this. They'll view this as capitulating free speech rights for a foreign nation." Here is Secretary of State Marco Rubio 8 days after the October 7th attack on Israel.
Well, first of all, it's the existing law of the country, right? Our laws basically say that you are inadmissible under a visa, student visa, to be a teacher here, to be a tourist, whatever, if you are a supporter of a designated terrorist group. And then this week, we see people marching at universities and in the streets of our country and so forth, calling for intifada, celebrating what Hamas has done, justifying what Hamas has done. These are supporters of Hamas. Those people who are here, okay, on a visa to be a student, to be a professor, whatever, those people need to go.
One State Department official told Axios that it would be negligent to ignore public information and discard available tools like AI for national security purposes.
Fox reporter Bill Malugin said that the State Department has already revoked their first visa in this initiative. Rubio tweeted yesterday, "Those who support designated terrorist organizations, including Hamas, threaten our national security. The United States has 0 tolerance for foreign visitors who support terrorists. Violators of U.S. law, including international students, face visa denial or revocation and deportation."
I think we are both looking forward to this discussion because we've both got a lot to say about it. I think this is pretty sinister, and I want to be clear about why I think it's pretty sinister. If someone is making an unequivocally pro-Hamas statement or an unequivocally kill all the Jews or kill all of any religion, then obviously we don't want that person in the country. What I worry about is the expansiveness of these charges, as we saw from Secretary Rubio when he was still a senator there, saying about marches soon after Israel began its counter-assault on Gaza. These people are being anti-Israel or being pro-Hamas, as if there is no legitimate reason to protest against Israel's actions, as there are legitimate reasons to protest the actions of any government, as if that automatically renders one a terrorist. That's what I find Orwellian about it, in addition to the AI stuff.
Yeah, and I think that point is important. Renders one a terrorist. We're not saying you are a terrorist. We're saying you express support for terrorist organizations. Hamas is designated a foreign terrorist organization, and the law, which he is referencing, let's see. So he's referencing a law from the Nixon administration, where this is originating from, and this is an administration that also surveilled Palestinian student groups during that time. But this does apply to a lot of these students who at UCLA and Columbia were chanting, "Hamas is coming for you. Death to America." This is the kind of stuff where if you just went through that crowd and found 15 students who were on visas, boom, you've got people who are expressing support for a foreign terrorist organization, and under the law, they're supposed to have their visas revoked. That is the law. So I struggle with this because I came up in the campus free speech movement. Like Robbie Suave, who hosts here a lot of the week, my college experience was getting harassed by security officials on campus and police officers for distributing pocket constitutions to fellow students, and that was ruled disturbing the peace. So I really believe in these issues, but it is a huge stretch to leap from simple free speech and First Amendment rights on campus to supporting wearing masks and rallying behind a terrorist organization on campus.
Well, I think, though, that there are huge leaps made in both directions, if you like, because the leap that I am concerned about is the leap from Hamas is coming for you, which I wouldn't defend, and I don't think anyone would defend, to protesting a military counter-assault that has killed about 48,000 people is massively contentious within the United States.
It's pretty easy to distinguish between the two. It's very easy to distinguish between the people who are like, we don't want Israeli bombing of Gaza versus the people who are writing and spray painting on walls support for Hamas.
I would agree with that point, Stephen, that I think it is easy to distinguish. My concern is that there isn't in the statements of Marco Rubio or Donald Trump, for example, any evidence that they find it easy to distinguish. Trump was just a couple of months ago talking about pro-jihadist marches. Now, do we mean that everyone who was protesting on behalf of the plight of the Palestinians, a plight that is dire, in my view, by anyone's reasonable estimation, is pro-jihadist? That's where I get concerned, in addition to this suggestion of using AI to scan through people's social media accounts and, by some criteria that is not publicly available, determine whether a posting is pro-Hamas or not.
Maybe stop masking yourselves, wearing keffiyehs that are meant to resemble the group in which you are rallying behind.
Well, hold on. Keffiyehs
they are masquerading on campuses and intimidating school officials, wearing these masks, covering their faces, and then when they are confronted by school administrators who want them to unmask themselves, they get violent. There was this incident just the other day at Columbia University where one of the administrators was trying to break this thing up and negotiate with these kids, and they refused to unmask themselves.
They did.
Ridiculous.
Right.
Ridiculous. All of them should be out. These are not 1970s hippies. These kids are dangerous.
But in relation, just because we have to be careful with terminology and exactly what we're saying, when you're talking about masking to conceal one's identity, I think you can at least argue, yes, that has intimidatory effects. The wearing of the keffiyeh is a symbol of solidarity with the Palestinians. It is not A, intimidatory, or B, pro-Hamas in and of itself. And I'm very wary of us getting into the situation where we're saying wearing the symbolism of a particular nation or wearing something that is symbolic of a particular nation is in itself intimidatory. I just don't agree with that at all.
I will accept that correction, and I think that's fair now.
Fair enough. Well, we have some agreement on a very contentious issue. We have a lot more to talk about on Rising right after this.